Tom Cruise is back with a seventh Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And holy shit, this is just what I needed for the summer. A turn your brain off blockbuster action flick that gives you everything you want, such as great fight scenes, awesome stunts, a solid story, and great characters. Mission Impossible is a franchise where usually each sequel is better than the previous film. So with that in mind, you're probably wondering, is this movie better than Fallout? Absolutely not. Fallout is easily the best film in the franchise. It's got the best action, the best music, and the best final act by far. You know, when Tom Cruise chases after Superman in a helicopter. That shit was off the chain, man. And in all fairness, because of how great Fallout is, it's very hard to top that, which is understandable. Now, I love the previous films. Well, most of them. The second movie is basically a dumbass, slow motion ass music video consisting of boring action and terrible fight choreography. But besides that, every other movie was pretty damn great. The first film was a solid intro to the series. The third film had the best villain played by the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. The fourth film was pretty cool, especially when Tom Cruise hangs off the tallest building in the world. That was ballsy as hell. But not as ballsy as when he hangs off a big ass plane as it's taking off in the fifth film. Like, holy shit, that was insane. And yeah, that film was great too, of course. And as I just said, the sixth film is easily the best one. And due to how awesome it was, I unfortunately went into Dead Reckoning with high expectations. And I wouldn't say I was disappointed, because it was still a pretty solid film. However, the ending left me a bit underwhelmed. This is a two-parter though, so I'm going to give Mr. Cruise the benefit of the doubt, and I'll wait and see how this story unfolds in the second part before fully judging this movie as a whole. With all that said though, this movie is pretty damn sick. So a couple of years have passed since the events of Fallout, and Ethan Hunt is tasked with finding a special key that unlocks something that could change the world. And as always, he must find this key before it gets into the wrong hands. And apparently, this key unlocks something that has to do with an AI entity that wants to take over the world, and it is up to Ethan Hunt to put a stop to this. Ethan is accompanied by his usual gang of misfits on his latest MI adventure, including Simon Pegg as Benji, Ving Rhames as Luther, and Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa. Also joining Ethan is newcomer Hayley Atwell, a great addition to the MI squad as she starts out as a street thief who plays Ethan Hunt for a fool in several scenes, and eventually she comes around to trusting him. And Hayley had great chemistry with Tom Cruise. Like seriously, they worked really well together. And there's no way I'm going to get through this whole review without bringing up the scene when Tom Cruise rides a motorcycle off a cliff and parachutes down to a train. Like holy shit, seeing that on the big screen was awesome. The fact that Tom Cruise is in his 60s and is still doing the craziest stunts in his action movies is so badass. That man never plays around in his movies, and it shows. What's crazy about the Mission Impossible series is that these movies remain consistent with their balance of action and good storytelling, as well as ensuring that the action doesn't become too over the top and stupid. This is exactly what the Fast and Furious franchise is lacking, as the writers of that series prioritize dumb action that makes no sense over good storytelling, whereas Mission Impossible includes both elements in a great way and never goes too over the top. The big difference here is that the Fast and the Furious movies are fun to watch because of how stupid the action is, and the Mission Impossible movies are fun to watch because of how great the action is. The Fast and the Furious movies are so bad they're good, and the Mission Impossible movies are so good that, well, they're good. I'm comparing both franchises because both of these types of action movies will continue to be made for the next 10 years. And why is that? You guessed it.
Money!
And I know exactly which series I want to see more of, and it's not the series where a mumbling bald dude defies the laws of gravity and says the word family in almost every goddamn scene. Tom Cruise is so much better at this than Vin Diesel, and it's not even close. Anyways, Mission Impossible 7 succeeds in almost everything. It has fantastic action sequences and a solid plot. Not as good of a story as Fallout, but still really good. There are some minor criticisms I have though. For starters, the film itself is a bit bloated and convoluted at times. There's a lot that goes down, and the film becomes pretty messy as a whole because of that. There are also plenty of moments where the writing felt a bit inconsistent, mainly when we get one of those classic Mission Impossible scenes where a character wears the mask of another character's face in an attempt to get some valuable information from the bad guys. This mask tactic that Ethan Hunt and his team typically use to get them further in their missions are usually well executed, but in this movie, it does not work as well as it did in the previous films. I'm talking in terms of it being believable that the bad guys don't realize that one of their henchmen is an imposter. For example, there is a scene where a certain character impersonates another character by, of course, wearing a mask of that other character's face, but the eyes of the character who was wearing the mask do not change, even though the character being impersonated has a different eye color, and no one notices the eye color change at all, which was honestly pretty stupid. I'm not sure if this was some creative decision by the director to leave the eyes the way they are for the character wearing the mask, or if they were just too lazy to fix that issue. Look, I just think that the writers could have thought of a better way to handle this. Like by having one of the other characters bring up the fact that this person's eyes are literally a different color all of a sudden. But of course, that character would have been caught red-handed being an imposter, and the whole mission would have been completely fucked. Finally, the runtime of this movie is just too damn long. It sits at 2 hours and 43 minutes, and it easily could have been cut down to 2 hours and like 10-ish minutes, I guess. But besides all of that, this movie is for sure a good ass time at the theater. And I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. Tom motherfucking Cruise is still doing Tom motherfucking Cruise things. I'm gonna give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 a 7 out of 10. As always, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe for more movie reviews.